Hey, Joel, it's good to meet you face to face, buddy.
Yeah, same. I think.
Yeah.
Although you've already slammed me with jokes. And
No, that's not a slam. That's not a dig on you. I'm digging on your boy over there.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, Cody, are you exercising any of these days?
Yeah, bud.
You are?
Yeah.
Asking
Whoa.
about leg day.
Just went 5 days straight to the gym.
5 days straight, big homie.
Yeah. Biceps today.
I
Biceps.
can tell.
You still trying to do that CrossFit?
Oh yeah, son.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I
I
love
can't
it,
see a picture of you right now, but I bet you're pretty big.
dude. I am. No, I'm not. I'm not very big. Not very big at all. Hey, I'm loving you guys' podcast.
Thanks, bud.
Hey, did you see the comment my brother-in-law JB made the other day on the bacon
No.
cake?
No,
Yeah.
what did he say?
I just saw it today. I can't remember exactly what it says.
It's-
That was your brother-in-law?
It's my brother-in-law.
That's
He
pretty
says-
good.
He says, keep on cake bacon. Something about keep on. I can't remember what it says. Something about keep on cake bacon. This podcast is easily becoming.
It's taking the place of my hour of Bill Burr. That's what he
Bill
said.
Burr.
Bill Burr.
Wow. That's a high compliment.
So what's up with this Mark Christian thing? Why did that get you all hopped up?
I was listening to at the gym the other day, yesterday, and I thought it was good. Why, you didn't think it was good? I thought it was great.
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great conversation.
I really enjoyed, okay, here's what took me for a spin a little bit was because this is why I want to hang out with him, because my first read on him, like when the podcast starts, it wasn't negative. It was just kind of like, but then he made that comment about the comics, about how I like the dark comics.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, I want to hang out with this guy.
Yeah.
I would like this guy. And then you got into just some of the sermon prep and stuff. And that's a smart guy.
Yeah. He's a real smart guy.
Real smart guy. And so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was at all. So
yeah. When I said, when I talked to him on the phone the first time, he was like, have you read the book, How to Think? I was like, no. He's like, have you read the book, whatever it was? I was like, no. He's like, have you read the book? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was like all these, and he was just like in the books, whatever. And he was just quote after quote after quote. I mean, his head is just freaking full of these little one-liners. It was awesome.
Awesome. He had a lot of good stuff. Here's the other thing I thought about. This is a true story. And I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it, especially because you're wearing that dumb hat right now.
Mm-hmm.
You are good at asking questions. Good questions.
Really?
And not only a good question, a good lead-in question, but he has good follow-up questions too.
Wow.
Well,
and here's the other thing I thought about. Because I went and listened to because I was listening to I don't know if there's a video of Mark Christian or not, but I was listening to the podcast, just the audio version. That intro you did, that, about the first 7 or 8 minutes, it's good stuff.
That was probably the best part.
You've got that radio voice.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Oh, cool.
It's good stuff. Was
Well,
that
thank
scripted, or were you just
Radio voice,
did you have that scripted? You were reading it, or you just working through it?
Yeah, no, I had to sit down and type it all. I'm a terrible reader. So what I have to do is I have to sit down, type it out, get my head around it, and then I can kind of go off the cuff. But I got to get it in my head first.
Oh, so good, dude.
Yeah, I got to get it in my head. I appreciate you saying that. That's a big concern for me. When I listen to like really good interviews, I'm like, gee, man, Jared, you freaking stutter and stammer, and you go on and on about, freaking random stuff.
That sounds like me.
It's like, gee, man. And so I appreciate you saying that, because that's a tender spot for me. I'm like, you should. Wait till you hear this Rob Bell interview. Dude,
I saw it today. I didn't watch it yet, but I saw it just come out.
Dude, I'm freaking fanboying so hard when I'm talking to him that I can't even hardly keep myself together. I mean, it's just like, Jared, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, what do you want to go out with this guy? Like, stop. Like, you're smitten. That's what you are. You're just freaking smitten. This is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good interview to get. I mean,
oh yeah. You know what he told me? Here's what he said. That's one of my initial
Not
questions.
a feisty cherry.
No, absolutely freaking not. I heard the episode with the feisty cherry. Listen, I'm trying to keep friends, Joel. I'm trying to keep friends. You know?
I didn't realize we lost friends over the feisty cherry.
No, but it just felt a little tense with the feisty cherry when he.
Well,
showed up
that
with
was
the
a
feisty
tense
cherry.
episode.
Oh.
That was a tense episode.
Got some other footage we can share with you too.
We've got a little bonus on
yeah.
that one that you would enjoy.
Little pregame show for that one didn't go
That's
so
good.
well.
No, it went actually really well
For me,
for Matt, for almost no one else.
the lights go on, dude. Just like you said in your opener, I get angry.
Yeah,
I
get
100%.
angry. It's got to come out.
I had another part of that intro. I was like, you know why Matt Cody's so upset? Matt Cody's so upset because he's so little on the inside. And that's the problem. Because he's a little bitty boy trapped inside a big man body, and he's just really. And that's why Joel Dill is a really great guy, and why Matt Cody is absolutely endearing. Is endearing.
I got to tell you this. So I was listening. So I broke away. It was Friday, right? I broke away Friday afternoon. Was listening to that intro after you text us, and my wife comes up and she's like, "What are you doing?" Well, my buddy Jared Ellis at the Homilist gave us a shout out, and so I played it for her. And when you started talking about me being a genuinely nice guy, she literally went,
No.
So I appreciate that.
Well, listen, Joel. Here's the thing. You're an Enneagram 1, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy I work with, Luke, he's an Enneagram 1. I don't know if you know this or not, but one of the dynamic pairings with Enneagram numbers is 1 and 7, because they are opposite ends and they don't have a whole lot in common. But when they find a common goal, 1s and 7s, they become inseparable and a super dynamic pairing. That's like top notch. Oh, absolutely right. Yeah.
Huh.
You do a little research.
I'm learning. I am at the infancy stage of Enneagram knowledge. So,
well, let me tell you a story real quick, and this will be something we'll have to cut. We'll have to cut out of this, because there's no way. In fact, I want to.
How we're getting into video production. This could get dangerous.
Listen,
Okay, I know how to splice.
I'm gonna have to splice this one up. Let me shut my door just for a second.
Look how he has the nice stuff in the background. Look at this. Hey, this is a studio you got here? Or what is this?
What are you talking about? My light?
No. We were talking about the wood, and it's just, you got a nice setup.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this the
this your office?
the Ellis family office?
Yeah. Well, this is just the office. This is my office at the church. So.
At your house or at the church?
No, at the church. My office at home is cooler than this. But there's people there. So.
You got a good vibe going on tonight.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
The wood in the back, the couch, the hat,
thanks.
You got the guitar in the corner.
The jean jacket. You dressed up for this. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Like I woke up. This is what I put on when I woke up this morning. This is it right here. That's it. I've been wearing it all day.
Die daily.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
From you.
Okay. So this cat, that's the one I tagged you guys in the other day. He was leading worship at that church and he was doing the rap song. Okay. So that's him. He's a battle rapper. A Ward is his name. A Ward. He's a battle rapper. So I've been talking to him. I'm trying to get him on the podcast. We've gone back and forth trying to schedule it. So he just came back from Canada doing this thing called King of the Dot. KODT. What's it? King of the Dot. KODT. Anyway, it's a rap battle championship, and he doesn't swear. And so you get into this one, it's like your mother, your lady, your kids. I mean, they go after everything. Your job, your religion, your white, your like all these things. They just come at this dude all the time. He has the ability to put content together, to carve people to pieces. And then he will stop partway through and he'll say stuff like, hey, why do you let that dark spirit manage your life? Don't you want to be better than that? Don't you know the king has called you to be better than that? And he just goes off. I mean, it's absolutely incredible for a guy who loves rap. You check this dude out. I'm telling you, Joel, like this guy. And he does this little deal called Run That Back, to where he will use double entendres all the way through. And then he'll spin
run it back.
Oh my gosh. It's freaking incredible.
Is this the guy you had sent me before?
Yes.
This is the same guy.
A Ward.
A Ward. A. Ward. Yes.
Hey, don't let Dill fool you. He's not.
He's not what?
I've been at his house.
What?
Listen, I have eclectic music taste. I like country music too.
I wouldn't go as far as say, oh, you're a rap guy. You're a rap guy, Joel. Let's be careful. Okay. Let's not put people. Let's not judge the book. Let's not judge the book. Okay, I've read the book. I read the book.
I don't know.
There's a little bit of
You don't
Kanye
know
in there,
me?
but that's about it.
Oh my.
There's a little bit of Kanye, and that's about it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I hear him say it all the time. He's always saying, "I love rap. I love rap. I love rap."
Yeah.
And so
He loves other stuff too.
Well, Joe, listen. If you love rap,
I'm gonna go check out A.Ward. I appreciate that recommendation. No matter what my friend Matthew says.
Yeah.
All right. So hey, back to the story about the Enneagram.
Yeah, tell me a story.
So anyway, so he's an Enneagram 8, and so I said to him one day, I said, yo, you know anything about the Enneagram? I said, I've been studying this like a madman. He's like, no, I don't know anything about it. Of course, he's absolutely intolerant of anything that's not fun or enjoyable to him. Like it's like if he didn't come up with it, yeah, I mean, you know what name's like. And so,
I don't know
anyway,
about, but keep going. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keep going with your boring story.
Why'd you look at me like that?
Oh, I don't know. It rang a bell.
Oh, okay.
Something about what he was describing sounded familiar to me.
Okay.
So yeah, so this guy's kind of like that. And I'm telling him, I said, listen, I need you to focus for just a second. This is super important, super powerful. It's like, okay. I said, let me read this to you. I start reading him off this list from the book you guys were talking about, The Road Back to You.
Yeah.
The list of things, and I'm like, which one of these are not true? And I read them all through. You got to dominate your environment everywhere you go. You want to be a physically imposing person. You want to, like, all these things. I'm telling him all about it. Oh, and here's another deal that's funny about 8s is they all have catchphrases. Like, this is a common thing. Like, they all have catchphrases.
You making crap up?
I'm
right
not
now.
making crap
what
up.
What book are you reading?
I've read multiple books on this. Multiple
books.
Now, let me tell you
Making my
something.
night right now.
Catchphrases.
Catchphrases.
I got a few.
Oh, do you? I'm surprised. And so my buddy does too. My buddy always says, take no prisoners and eat the wounded. So it's one of his favorite lines.
Oh, I like that one. I might
take no prisoners, eat the wounded. Yeah. And so he's got these, and so I'm telling him all this. His wife knows nothing of the Enneagram. She knows nothing about what I've been studying. I don't even say anything about catchphrases to her. And she looks up and she says, do Enneagram 8s all have catchphrases? I said, yes, they do. They all have catchphrases. They all have riddles. I'll give you a biblical example of that. And she's like, for real? I'm like, for real. Do you remember Samson in the Bible? She says, yeah. I said, do you remember when he looks at his dad and he's like, I saw this beautiful woman. Get her for me. Their talk style is commanding. Their talk style, the Enneagram 8s, the talk style is commanding. It's always about go do this, get this done. You know, hey, clean this up, pick this up. No, this is what we're going to be doing. Just this dominant thing, right? And she's like, oh my gosh. And I said, then you see Samson say stuff like, hey, that's the woman I want to be with. Get her. And his dad's like, well, I don't think you. And he's like, get her. Like, freaking get her. He's like, okay. So then remember this. He's got the riddle and he puts the riddle out there. And they're like, well, he says, if you can get the riddle, then, you know, what was it? I'll give 10 sets of clothes for all your people and all this kind of deal. But if you don't, you know, I win. Like, okay. So they coax the wife, the future wife, into telling them the riddle, his riddle. And it's something about, I don't remember what it is. What's sweet, whatever it is. What's something that's ferocious and this and this and this. And then, but it's sweet and this and sweet to the taste or something like that. And so they come back and they're like, oh yeah. It's a lion. You know, it's a lion. That's your riddle. Your riddle's this and this and this. And then you remember Samson says, yeah, well, if you hadn't been plowing with my heifer, you would have never known that. They all got freaking catchphrases, every single one of them. Yeah. If you hadn't been plowing with my heifer, you know.
Oh, that's going to be one.
I'm taking
that one now.
Yeah.
I'm taking
plowing,
that one.
Can we work plowing in with my heifer into a, can we work that into a future sermon series?
Yeah.
Now listen, you got to make sure you say it right. You got to make sure you say, you can't mess that one up.
Say it again.
You can't be saying, if you were plowing my heifer. You can't say if you were.
No,
that's not the same thing.
How does it go? Say it again.
It goes like this. If you hadn't been plowing with my heifer.
Yeah,
if you hadn't been plowing.
With my heifer.
With my heifer. That's not what you want.
That is not what you're trying.
Plowing with my heifer.
Yeah. If you hadn't been plowing with my heifer, you would have never known that.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. And that is an Enneagram 8. Samson.
That's the first time I've ever heard that about Enneagram 8s, if they have catchphrases.
Oh, they all have catchphrases.
I have a few.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah. My buddy Dickie, he's got several. It's always that same kind of.
That's what I think has been the most fun as I've learned anything about the Enneagram is you start to look at other people and you're like, I wonder what they are. Wonder what they are.
I think there's a lot of rappers who are 8s.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense, actually.
I think there's a lot of rappers that are 8s.
Yeah, so I do. I really like that. I really like the Enneagram. Man, we went bananas on it. We preached through the whole thing. We went 8 all the way back around to the 7s and preached a biblical character with each one of them.
How did it go? How did your people respond to it?
Yeah, they loved it. Hey, they went
Did they?
bananas. Yeah, they loved it. I mean, it was. I bet you if you could read the analytics of the book sales or the Enneagram Institute test, the number of tests that were purchased in Allen County over the course of like a month, the last, I don't know, 2 months maybe, it would be this big dot right in the middle.
Shut it down.
Yeah. I mean, it was like we bought and anybody who said, hey, I don't know what I am, I would really like to know, the church would purchase the test form for them and their spouse.
Go to the one that actually counts. Hey, on that note, Rocky did same deal here recently, and they did the short test. We didn't preach on it. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Well, sorry that I got that one wrong. But there was a shorter test, like 30 some questions versus the longer one.
Mm-hmm.
That test, a lot of people are taking for free, and it kicks out different answers every time. That one's tough. I think that's about as confusing, even though it's probably technically more correct than the potato chip with the mushroom wing.
Right. Absolutely.
Version.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did you get any pushback from anybody in the church?
Oh, well, there was a couple who,
because Enneagram is from a cult, bro.
Yeah, well, you do a little bit of studying on it and you find out.
It's a star. It's a star.
It's a pentagram.
It's from the occult.
Yeah, if you Google it, it's definitely from the cult.
Yeah.
Google says.
Listen,
you lost some people at your church?
You got to stay off the Googler, buddy. You got to stay off the Googler. All right. It's no good. You got to stay completely off
the Googler is dangerous.
You can't just pull all your info from the Googler.
That is for sure.
So
I mean, I think that's a pretty bold move for the Midwest.
How do you mean?
Huh?
How do you mean?
Yeah, this Enneagram seems a little controversial. I mean, it's a little controversial out here. I think in Kansas it'd be
for real
even more. Maybe you just got some good Kool-Aid. They just all drinking it.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah, you got some Kool-Aid, don't you?
Come on, Jared, bring it in. What kind you got? Grape Kool-Aid? Mm-hmm. Let me drink it.
Wow.
How much that test cost? $20? Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, they weren't buying it. The church was buying it.
I'll do it.
Got you some of that.
Tell me what biblical character I'm like. I'll do it. Who did you pick to teach on for the 5?
That's what we're looking at.
Nicodemus.
Ooh, Nicodemus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
So the thing about the 5, the investigator, that's the one. It's almost like they live in a silo. All right. They don't take up a whole lot of space. You know, you don't see Nicodemus come through the scripture too many times. When you do, it's always at very important times. And, you know, we give him some static for showing up at night, right?
Yeah.
But that also kind of plays to to the way they operate socially. You know, that they ain't trying to be in the middle of a crowd. They're not trying to be the upfront person. They're sitting back, trying their best to just pull in as much information as they can possibly pull in, asking all the questions that they want to ask. And then they go back inside their silo. Now, here's the cool part. They can exist inside of massive amounts of chaos all the time. So for example, I'm a 7, my wife is a 5. And so my wife is a very internal person. You know, I take up a whole lot of space. If my life was a whiteboard, if her and I's marriage was a whiteboard, it'd be like this thing behind me. Like she would like have like this little circle right down here in the bottom, you know, just this little bitty spot. And what she would say is, don't come inside that. And then I say, as a 7 with an 8 wing, kind of color the line different. And she's saying, you can color the line different, but don't cross the line. You need to stay outside your line. Like, can I color the rest of the board? You can have the rest of the board. Can I come in and visit? If you're quiet and you calm yourself down, then you can
stop talking.
If you can shut up, and you can let me.
That's
have some
interesting.
thing. Yeah, but it's like a 200-foot silo that they live in. You know, like they've extremely smart, extremely good thinkers, but they want their privacy and they can do it internally. Where some of us, like a 7, like I got to go find it because I get a thrill out of people. I got to go find, you know, I got to go get quiet somewhere else. You know, She can just go inside and lock it all away. She's the kind of person, 5's the kind of people who are like, I told you this. And you're like, you didn't say that. I go, well, I thought it, you know, I thought it. So they're more almost like a disembodied mind.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Were you offended when Joel said he didn't like your wife?
No, because I didn't think Joel knew what he was. I didn't think Joel knew
He
what he was
didn't
talking
Yeah,
think-
Joel doesn't know what he's talking about. That's fine.
You hate
Did
five.
you see the look on his face?
You hate
Yes.
five.
Of course, he's an instigator.
I-
Joel.
That's why we're
identified-
never gonna get a
Now,
sponsor
Lena,
on
hold
Bake
on.
the Cake because Joel, he offends everybody. He
Yeah.
offends everyone at his work.
yeah. Yeah, I do. All right, now listen.
I can't stand.
Now, are
five.
there situations when a 5 can come out of the silo and really like just kind of go?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that look like?
Okay. So I'm trying to think how this works. In stress,
Yep.
a 5 moves to. Oh,
What are they? Yeah.
you're gonna have to make me look this up, man. I was
you?
so
Did
so
you ever
Because-
watch those YouTube vids I sent you? Richard Rohr.
No, you sent me a clip of one.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if
Well,
I'd say that you.
I'll
sent
send
me
you
an-
that
okay.
because this guy here sent me a fantastic clip.
Because
on
I think.
eights.
Well, yeah, you sent me that clip.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's 3 full videos
Oh, gotcha.
that he works through them all.
I
I think it's some of the best stuff on the Enneagram
yeah, it's really
That-
good, isn't it?
that I've seen in a while.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll look through it.
Okay,
I've not
s-
heard. I've only read stuff. I've not seen someone talking about it. He does. Good job. He works
Okay,
through the whole
okay.
thing.
Richard Rohr.
So in stress, the Enneagram 5 moves to a 7, which is like
Yeah, that's you, buddy.
Yeah.
that's right. And
Do you
so
know what?
then-
Do you know what that looked like? The
Oh.
the NG Oil and Gas Summit in the Woodlands
Is that right?
in
That
November.
could
Yeah,
be. That very well could be.
that's what I'm talking about.
That very
I-
well
I'm
could
gonna
be.
stand behind my assessment
I think you're
because
probably right.
engineers go into the. I mean, like they're very much in the silo. I think that's a great.
Yeah.
Very smart. They think a lot.
Yeah.
But when they come out of that, when they're under stress, that's interesting.
That's
Go
gotta
to a
be.
7.
That's gotta be pretty interesting in your relationship. To see
Yeah.
her. I mean, how often does that happen? Where she's.
It doesn't happen very often because here's the other deal. As a 7, I move to a 5 in health. All right.
Oh.
So I move to a 5. And so if I move to a 5, look, I can keep the balance of my marriage for the duration because
Yeah.
she's easy to get along with. The
Right.
problem is Jared's a 7 and Jared's like $5,000, you know, like coming on court,
yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
my father's 5,000, you know, like losing it. And she's looking at me like, wow, like, I'm about to go to a 7. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. You need to have.
Hey,
you
wait,
got-
wait,
you
wait.
gotta have some people in your life. Just keep going. Be cool, bro. Be cool. Be cool.
yeah. I got some. They're like, hey,
Yeah. Be cool, man. Yeah. Be
no,
cool.
no.
I'm gonna say no. Just be cool, dude. Just
Yeah.
relax. Yeah, yeah.
Do you got
Hey,
one of those
here-
people?
Yeah. Oh, I got loads of those people.
Oh,
so,
good.
So here's one. So here's a really great one. Like one of my wife's favorite phrase from years ago was this: "Why can't things just be okay?" Like, why can't things just be okay? It's like, because for me, like emotions are like front and center. Like we're kicking them out of the way all the time. Like I got decisions to make. Like move. Like, you know, no, but I can't right now. I'm depressed. I can't right now. I'm way too excited. I can't right now. I forgot my Ritalin. I can't right now because of
Always
whatever it
something.
is.
There's always something.
There's always something in the way. You know,
Yeah.
freaking balloons. You know, freaking court. Yeah, which is why I don't drink. Like this is the very last thing in the world that I would need in my life. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, that's funny they say that. I've got another buddy that's a 7, and he's kind of the same way. He's like, I'm already
Mhm.
crazy enough. I don't, and he actually didn't know he was a 7 when he was saying this, but
Interesting.
he says that. That's why I don't drink, because I'm already hyped up. I don't know why.
You
I
don't
would do-
drink?
Yeah, I do.
Um,
you even a
what does an 8? What? I don't know. Now I'm thinking about this. What does an 8 go to? Like you say, a 7 goes to a 5.
Mhm.
What does an 8 go to when they are under stress?
A 5.
Under stress, I think an
An 8
eight.
An
goes to
8
a
goes
5?
to a 5
He
under
just says
stress.
7 go.
I
He's
think
just,
No,
an
a
eight-
7 goes to a 5 in health.
Yeah, I think an 8 goes.
Oh.
I think an
An-
8 goes to a 5 in stress. I think
An
that's-
8 goes to an unhealthy 5, and you know what they do? They demean and put down people.
oh,
Yeah, I think.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah, and stress go to a 5. Hey, but you know what's great about a 2? I mean, you know what's great about an 8 is when they're healthy, they go to the 2.
that's right.
They go to the helper spot. You know.
Hey, I
And
heard.
they become
How
become
is this
passive.
thing so good?
Yeah, right. Hey,
So good.
mother.
How is this so good?
Listen,
It's bec-
my
hey, it's
favorite
because
example of
it's
that.
demonic.
Oh,
My-
yeah,
It's part of
dude.
the cult.
Oh.
My favorite example of that is Mother Teresa. Everyone thinks she was a
Oh,
2.
It's a good one.
She's actually an 8. She was
Yeah.
just a really healthy 8.
So
Right.
where did you come by that? Where did you come by that information, Joel?
Therapy.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's in the book. That's in the book, The Sacred Enneagram.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, I got it on Audible. $14.99.
Okay. It's in a book though, right?
$14.99 a month.
14. I could have
Don't be spending that
Oh my
Homilist
gosh.
budget on all them audio books.
Listen, we
do you
should have
remember-
started this podcast 3 months earlier.
I feel convicted a little bit right now.
Why?
When you said that thing about 8s going to 5s,
Yeah, it's true. It's 100% true.
it is freaking
What?
true because
Yeah,
in
I
my
know that.
mind, I'm playing that out right now.
Everybody
That's what I
knows
do.
that, Matt.
That's what I do. I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah.
but you're talking about 8s. They're one
Hey,
of the
was
most.
that in the $14.99 book too?
Which
Could I
ones?
have picked that up?
Which
The whole 8 going to a 5 and demeaning everybody was
No,
that?
buddy, you can get that for free right there on the Googler.
Dang it.
That's when I start saying
You
those
just
words.
told me to
That's when I
stay
start-
away from the Googler.
That's when I
I'm
start
just
saying those
saying.
words.
You.
Make up your
I'm
mind.
just saying. Some people use the Googler. And some people
That
don't.
clip you sent me on Richard Rohr, though.
Yeah.
So true.
So true.
So
Do you-
true.
do-
Yeah.
I
Did
won't
you-
say what the 4-letter word was, but I will say this. The idea is that when 8s meet somebody, we want the way that we determine if we want you to be close is to see if we can actually push you away.
Love
Yeah.
it.
And we come at you strong. I mean, we say things, and if we get a reaction out of
Just
you, and it's like, no. But if you're like, listen, that's why you and I I think within a day was like, I like this guy. Because some of the things we were saying to each other. I mean, there is something there.
Yeah.
well,
Well,
100%. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
With the clip that you sent, that
Yeah.
was right on.
Yeah. So the thing I love about 8s is they can't love you unless they respect you.
Mm.
And they have to be able to respect you. And so here's the thing. You can't look at an 8 and say, hey, Matt Cote, I want you to know, buddy, I respect you. And he's like, piss off. That doesn't mean nothing to me. Let me
Yep.
push your buttons a few times and then we'll see if I respect you. It doesn't have anything to do with how you feel. Like I care about how
So
you
true,
feel.
It's so true.
Right. And so when Matt Cote begins to push buttons and he starts dialing in the code and he gets somebody's goat and it's just like, now let me see what you're made of. And you turn around, you look at him and you go, you know what? That might have hurt my feelings a little bit, but I also have to consider the source. And I also have to think to myself, like, you know what? There's things you're great at. There's things you're not great at. And, but I love having you in my life. And that's something about me I kind of need to check. All of a sudden he goes to a 2 and he's like, dang, this is a good dude. Like this sudden shift of
So true.
what a
Dude,
good
so
dude.
true.
Yeah.
How's this thing so
I'm
good?
I'm
man?
listening to all this, and I'm kind of wondering why you even like me.
Why?
Because I feel like the more you press my buttons, I don't know how did I not react? How did I not?
I don't know.
Well, I think it goes back to just Joel Dill is a really
He's a
good
good
person.
guy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
No, I don't think that's it.
Because
it's
I'll
true,
tell you
but-
why. Because you kept asking. You kept asking.
Oh, that's fair.
He kept asking. He kept wanting to get together. Hey, you want to get coffee at 3:30 in the morning? No, not really. No, I really don't want to do
That's
that.
true.
Next
That's
week,
true.
hey, you want to get a coffee
Hey,
at 3:30 in the
How
morning?
about we
Not,
try that again?
not really, but okay, I'll do it one time.
That's true.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Coming back for more.
You've come at me a couple of times.
Yeah.
In fact, they've been really
I'm
memorable
not
because when
innocent.
people after me,
Mhm.
it's very memorable because it doesn't happen very often. Usually can scare people away.
Maybe that's why.
And there's a couple of
All right.
times you push back, you come back, and I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He can
Okay.
handle
Maybe
it.
that's
He
it.
can
Maybe
handle
that's it.
He can handle it.
Hey, you know what I love about ones though, Joel? Here's the thing I love about ones is that their internal critic is so freaking harsh. Like their internal critic
That's what
is
you
so,
love about
Yeah,
ones.
let's
Love
roast
it.
him now. Let's
Love
roast
it.
him. Yeah, it's critical of everybody.
No, he's
Okay,
not.
Yeah.
the-
You have an idea of how this should go, and if it doesn't go that way, you're gonna freaking burn it.
Yeah, but hold on.
Huh?
You like here's the great thing about ones though. The great thing about ones is like whatever he thinks inside of his head about himself, he would never say to another human being. He would say it to himself, but he would never turn it on you. Like even if he does say something horrible to you, he said something to himself that's like 20
worse.
times worse. And then if you got your feelings hurt, then he looks at you like, that hurts your feelings? Like you should live over here for a minute. Like come on up here to my house, like check this out. Like that's awesome. I love it. My buddy Luke, he's a 1 and he's the worst. I mean, he's the worst. He's like, he's the most moral person that I know. Like the most moral person that I know.
Good guy.
I mean, top notch guy. And when I talk to him, he's just
Because
like,
he lives in hell in his head.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know what he says? I said to him one time, I was like, hey, what about my life should I feel guilty? Should I feel guilty for? He's like, your life? All of it. Like you should feel bad for your language, your tobacco use, you know, that sorry hat you're wearing. You should feel bad about every single thing in your life, you know? He said, but you don't. And I love that. I'm like, just going to sleep that one off.
You know why? Because he probably plowed your.
If it wouldn't have been plowing with my heifer, the width is really
the width is
plowing with your heifer.
Yeah.
Know what's up,
man?
Yeah. Am I too loud? You guys both have your headphones off. Am I too loud? Do I need to?
Well, we don't have you running through our headphones. For some reason, I couldn't make that work. So you're just coming through the speakers on the computer, which is fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got one. I'm sure you're the same way. We got one off so we can hear you.
You don't need to make fun about our production over here, okay, bud? We figuring it out 1 week at a time.
Low budget, okay? Low budget at best.
We didn't have Rob Bell on here. We don't have guys from around the world. Famous stupid. Theologians.
You're so stupid.
We just two dudes, okay? Hanging out here, Frederick, Colorado. You've been here.
I love what you guys got going on though. Like your podcast is fun.
Well, but you know what I keep likening it to is a radio show.
Yeah, it's very good.
I'm like, you know, it's like it's no different than if you're listening to whatever radio show in the morning. It's just banter back and forth, just no music.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna draw you in. Okay? We're gonna give you a massage a little bit. Right? We're gonna draw you in.
Wow.
And then every once in a while, we got something for you. All right, but we're gonna draw you in a little bit. We're gonna draw you in. We've said from day one, we just personality. It's driven.
Yep.
Have fun.
Just having fun.
I think we do care if people listen, but at the end of the day, too, it's just been a fun little hobby, little fun side hustle.
That's true.
What like whose idea was this, and who picked who to do this podcast?
Joe picked me.
I doubt that.
How did it come up?
So this would have been like 4th of July. Was it? I think it was like July. We were hanging out on the back patio and we were talking. Yeah. So we were at my house, we were hanging out. Kids were jumping around. It was a mad circus. And we were in an argument on something to do with basketball.
I don't remember.
I think it was free agent season in the NBA. We were talking some argument, and we both just kind of like, this, you know what we should do? We should make a podcast.
I did your podcast right around the same time. Not too long. Right?
That's what cemented it. That's true.
Cemented?
I'm sorry.
That's how you say that? Okay. Cemented?
Oh, my goodness.
That's how you say it?
That's how you say it? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
I thought you say cemented.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Cemented.
Get off me, man.
Wow, dude.
All right, listen. I cemented. That's how it was cemented.
No, I think that's how you're supposed to say it, but that's okay. You cemented it.
Do you have a degree in English?
You cemented it.
Oh my goodness.
It was one of those things we chatted about it for a while. And then it was like, you know, let's just. At some point, you just got to go. At some point, you start. Mm-hmm. And then you just figure it out as you go along. So
yeah, after I agree though. After you did the podcast with Jared, then it was on.
Because I had such a fun time on your podcast, man. Yeah. I was like, dude, that was so much fun. I laughed a ton. Like I could do that every week.
Yeah. Loads of people who stopped me and said, "Hey, that Matt Cote interview was hilarious." I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, in the first 10 minutes, it's really, really funny, you know, but then there's a lot of content too. Like you had a whole lot of stuff to offer, which is incredible. And, you know, when people,
it was very surprising, wasn't it, Jared?
When people
draw you in. Hey,
when people stop you or text you or email you or message you and say, "Hey, I absolutely love that." And here's the newest one. I was just talking about this on the intro to the Rob Bell one. What people are doing now is they just send me quoted lines from the podcast somewhere.
Yeah.
Like they just hear a line and they just send it. It's like the one I sent you the other day, something about, what was that? I can't even remember what it was. Anyway, I text you and I just text you a line. Oh, I got problems with the Dutch. That's what the line was.
I got problems with the Dutch. Yeah.
So here's a funny thing. Like that's like a slang. Like that's a slang. Like, have you heard the slang? What a Dutchman? Like, what a Dutchman. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay, so this is a common, like it's a common thing where I grew up. Everybody
Oh, okay.
bangs on the Dutch. They're just like, what
Okay.
a Dutch. Hey, what's wrong with that kid over there? He's not talking very good. He's speaking Dutch. Like they all say this stuff. It's all about the Dutch. And so me and my buddy were laughing about this. I'm like, why'd they pick the Dutch? Like what a weird thing to do. Like just to pick the Dutch, to pick on the Dutch.
Yeah.
And so then you said, I got problems with the Dutch. So the other day we're having dinner with him and I pulled up the podcast. I was like, hey, you got to hear this intro. So we're listening to it. And he's like, yo, you Dutch? Because I got problems with the Dutch. Like, yeah, man, we freaking lost it. We're sitting there eating. It's hilarious, man. This guy's just like, he said he got problems with the Dutch. You know, I'd send it to him early in the day. And, it was great. It was great. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like everybody says it all the time.
Wait, Jared, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Tyro, Kansas.
In Kansas,
Cairo.
they had problems with the Dutch.
Apparently, I don't know.
I'm surprised. I when you were talking about that and you're wearing that god awful hat, I just imagined it was Brooklyn.
No?
Something like that.
No, yeah. I wish.
Because I could see where the kids in Brooklyn could have problems with the Dutch.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would have too many problems with the Dutch, but in where I grew up, man, people say that stuff all the time. What a Dutchman.
Yeah.
You guy's such a Dutchman.
What's the
Dutchman.
what's the story with the hat?
What? You're not a Mets fan?
Listen, you can't put Jared Ellis in a box.
No.
You can try.
I guess.
You can try. It just doesn't add up. It don't make sense.
That's true.
It does not make sense. Because you
That's
go,
true.
where's he from? Where?
Kansas.
Tyro.
What does he do?
Yeah.
What does he do?
Yeah.
He's a worship pastor and he's a preaching guy. How does he dress?
Well, he wears a Yankees
Like
hat.
this. He dresses like this.
Ugh.
You can't put him in a box.
Okay.
I do love those pinstripes though.
Oof. I don't have anything to say.
I mean, this jacket you're wearing tonight too.
I like the jacket though.
What's wrong with the
No, I like the
No,
jacket.
it's good.
Yeah.
I mean-
Actually jean
Yeah.
jackets. Those are coming on. Those are pretty popular. I don't know if I could pull off a jean jacket.
You thought about what you're going to wear for this podcast?
No, I already told you. I woke up this morning. This is what I put on, and I haven't changed today.
Wow.
Like this is what I had on when I left the house.
Fashionista out there in
No, it's just
Iola. Iola, yeah?
and I won.
It
Oh yeah, I
sounded
guess I
Dutch.
did. Me and my daughter went to have coffee this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went to have coffee. So when we got up this morning, she skipped the first hour of class. We went and got coffee, got dressed.
Nice.
It's not a thing. Let's stop
Look at
talking
you.
about it. It's
And the glasses?
what do you mean?
Did you have glasses on when I saw you in the summer?
No, I didn't.
I've
have
never seen you wear glasses.
I didn't have glasses then. Now I got glasses.
What happened?
Well, it's age, I believe.
What's your prescription?
I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
What's that mean?
Like -2.
I didn't ask.
Pu-
Is it printed on the glasses somewhere?
You got to be an advocate for yourself, bud. You should know these things.
Is it on the glasses? Is it?
Do they-
written?
Probably
No,
not.
probably
Probably
not.
not. Probably not.
I don't know what it is.
Just need
I
them
just-
for reading or what? For everything.
No, well, they tell me I need to wear them. I need to wear them all the time, but I don't always wear them.
Do you have like a cardigan on underneath? that you-
Yeah, that's so funny, Joe.
He like yes. No, dude, he doesn't have a cardigan. That's
I'm
sewed
just-
into it. That's
No,
sewed into
that-
it.
it's not. It's a cardigan. You guys.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm
Bro,
telling
you can't
You
put him in
are-
a box. You can't put him in
Oh
a
my
box.
goodness.
What's so?
You can't put him in a box.
Now wait, now see, I'm trying to play catch up. You guys obviously know each other, but you made a comment about worship pastor. Are you worship pastor? Because now you're starting to fit into the worship pastor. You got a Yankees hat on. You don't even like baseball.
Oh yeah.
You got a
that would-
cardigan with a jean jacket on underneath it.
Yeah,
or over it.
Reluctantly, I am a worship pastor, but I'm the preaching minister. But if we had a worship person, gladly hand it over.
Gotcha. Because well, you're starting to own that worship side
Oh,
with the clothes.
Oh, what are all these critical things inside
No,
your
no,
heart
I'm just-
right now?
No, I
Nothing.
Think
appreciate-
about all the
I-
critical
it's-
things in his
hey,
heart
it-
right now.
It isn't.
He's just giving you that, but it's 20. I mean, it's 20% more.
No, it's
deep,
way worse
dark
up here.
stuff in
It's
there,
way
dude.
worse up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just remember that, Matt. Every time that I'm saying something,
Wow.
it's way worse up here.
yeah. No,
I
I
like
don't.
it.
I don't. I don't.
I'm just
I don't-
jealous.
I
I'm
like
just,
you.
I'm
I
just
like you, dude.
I'm just jealous.
Hey, no,
Just
look
jealous.
at this arm. Look at this arm here
Yeah,
that has this microphone.
That's way better
He's got
than the
a
arm that
red,
you've got, Matt.
red wire color there.
This is what we aspire to be one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
that's nice.
Listen, it's
Yeah.
not that nice. We got some electrical tape.
No,
Right
I
here?
can't tell.
Oh no, that looks like Velcro. That
it
looks
looks like
like it's
Velcro.
Yeah.
like it's professional.
Yeah. Hey, move it up and down though. Move it up and down.
Can
Let me
you
see it. Mhm.
Yep. Hey, it doesn't fall down on
Yep.
its own.
That's nice.
That's a
bud.
good. That's a good arm.
What about yours? Yours is cool.
Mm-mm.
He can't let it go.
Just tighten it up, Cody.
No,
find
no,
a
wait.
wrench.
Now just give it a second because it'll start to just
Actually,
fall
this is
on
the
its
best.
own.
That's the best
Yeah,
it's been.
it's making you look like an idiot.
Usually,
You
it'll go
really,
down in a sec.
You
Yeah.
really can't tighten that.
You can, but it's
I'm not sure you can.
it's made in Kansas. It's not really going to stay.
Wow.
Wow.
Made by the Dutch in Kansas.
Yeah.
Uh,
Get a problem with
Hey,
that.
just I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
Can I ask them?
Absolutely, buddy.
As a, I would consider. Well, first of all, I'm a fan of your podcast.
Well, thank you.
When did you actually start the podcast?
I started in January of this year.
Okay, so you've gone a full year now.
Full year.
What are some of the things that that really stand out to you that you think you've learned over the last 12 months that maybe some rookies here we could?
Well, that's a great question.
Because I'm trying to get better. But what are
Wow.
some of the things that when you got, going into it, you're learning along the way, you're going, oh, okay, this thing here, not that big a deal. This thing here, this is a big deal. What would you say?
Well, it depends on if you're talking about like on the tech side. If you're talking about the tech side, or if you're talking about like just the podcasting.
Anything. All the above. I'm just a brig. I'm at 30,000 feet right now. Just big umbrella.
Okay. Now I feel like maybe you kind of set that up as like I know something. Like I would know something. I mean, I've been doing it
Well,
longer.
you've learned something.
Yeah, and you've crossed 10,000 downloads. I mean, you
you're doing
have
something.
accomplished
You
something.
just had freaking Rob Bell on your podcast. So you're doing something.
Steven Manfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, check this out. Freaking Mark Christians boosted that thing to over 11,000.
Wow.
Wow,
And how
that's
wild?
awesome.
Like that came out. It was like 10,000. That came out, and that deal just took off. I mean,
That's
off.
fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I think probably, and again, I'm not speaking as a guy who knows podcasting, but what I've learned personally has been this: you get nothing if you don't ask. You get nothing if you don't ask. Like if you want to talk to somebody, then you send them a message on Instagram, you send a message on Facebook, you send them a message by email, you send it to their website, you send it to the company, you send it to their assistant. If you want to talk to somebody, then because there's been very few people who've told me no, who would want to sit down and talk.
Look at
Duped by
you,
what?
ones and sevens, getting along
No,
so
no,
well.
no. Don't even
Ones and
try.
sevens. Oh, we're
What?
best friends. We
Hey,
get together,
Jared,
so
what's up,
who's
man?
the one person that you would love to have on that you haven't reached out to yet or you haven't heard back from yet?
Lusko had me worked up a little bit because I thought, man, you know what? This guy's seen some pain in his life.
yeah.
He's seen some pain.
The eyes of a lion.
I think he's doing a really good job of not being an out of control guy.
Yep.
I think he's attached himself to some really good people. You know,
Yep.
I think Rochelle's a good dude.
Me too.
And I think he's kind of attached himself there. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Groeschel and Lesko have both done a good job
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
being around but not getting there.
Yeah, that's what
So
I was
they're-
gonna say.
It's the
Dude.
So
difference.
they're supporting, and I
Yeah.
think they're trying to be positive influences for some of these guys that are like
Yeah.
jumping on the diving board, just
Yeah.
ready to take that dive.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was gonna say the same thing.
I'm sorry
there's
that I
a-
stole your thunder, but
There's a level in there, it seems to me, and I don't know where it is. There's a level in there where it seems like these guys go from being a pastor of a really big church, multi-site, a lot of social media footprint, big social media footprint, and all that stuff, and then going to that next level to being celebrity, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Judah Smith has done a good job of not being that guy. I think he shows a lot of authenticity in some of the corny stuff that he puts out. Like he puts out some corny stuff. He says some corny stuff, and I think that's good. So where I'm at right now is that some of these guys, I want to get A Ward on, because I think that's going to be,
Yeah, that'd be good.
and part of the deal for me is this. I want preachers to hear this guy, like from an artistic standpoint and how much work he puts in to writing and writing personally, and then rhyming, and then, layering it. you know, and then memorizing it. I mean, that's it. I mean, as preachers, we can get pretty lazy at times, you know. We can get pretty lazy. And what he's done
With your
is
iPad.
what he's done is pretty good. You know, I want guys to see that. I'll tell you who else I've got coming on for too long. We just talked today. Do you know the name JP Donnell?
JP Donnell. I do not.
Nope,
do you know
me
the,
either.
do you know the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he's one of the. Yeah, I do know who this is.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you-
keep going.
So he's the sniper that was opposite Chris Kyle.
Yep.
You know that name?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was the sniper opposite. And so he's a Christian dude. And so we've been talking. So I'm going to bring him on and we're going to talk about masculinity, because what I'm trying to do is nail down how much masculinity inside of a sermon is necessary. Because you think about in Jesus' day, there was the court of the Gentiles, right? And then there was the place where the women went. But who the man taught, who the priest taught, who the teachers of the law taught inside there were men. Why is that? Well, because what's the man's responsibility? You go home and teach your family. I'm going to teach you. You go home and teach your family. You know, but what you see now is you take a lot of those mega churches. I would love to see the numbers on the gender gap between men and women inside of mega churches, because my guess is that it's probably 70-30 women.
Any rebuttal there, Mr. Cody?
None.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What's your experience where you are in your mega church?
Did you say mega church?
Wow, man, mega church.
You
I'm
say
sorry,
mega
I'm
church?
gonna have to step off for this one.
I don't know. What would you say demographic, men versus women? I have not really thought about that.
So Jared, I would have to say this is just my assessment that our area is very what are we, 70% above the national average for family
No.
density. Family density is what I'm going for. We're a
Above
lot
the
of
national
families.
average. Yeah, a lot of families.
We're really family oriented. So I would actually say we're closer to 50-50, but I don't think that is, I think that's driven more by the fact that we have a lot of families in this area, not necessarily that all of, I mean, I think it could easily be 70-30 women. That's, does that make sense? Did I make sense there?
Yeah.
I think we're more driven by the fact we have
And
families.
I've noticed you've had that masculinity piece. I mean, you had Mansfield on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before a little bit.
Yeah.
Just what I mean, stylistically, what does that look like in your head?
In preaching?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
How does masculinity come out in the context of preaching?
Well, here's the thing for me. And again, I'm talking, I don't want to sound like I'm talking like I'm an expert in any field. I'm not. But to me, what makes sense is, and this is where it's got a cool turn to it. It's got a real plot twist to it. And that's this. When you get more men inside of your church, more men always attract more men. And so here's what's really great. Let me scoot up and show you this. When new guys show up to our church and they walk through the door, all the dudes that go to our church, this is what they do to them.
Size them up.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do this thing. And so here's what kind of brought this about. There was a guy who came in one time. He was cheating on his wife on a regular basis, looking at porn on a regular basis. I mean, just a disaster of an individual. He was a former military guy, and he comes in and he sits down. I said, "So what's going on?" He said, "Well, I got this going on, this going on, this going on." It's just kind of off-putting, just kind of real big body language, very, very blocked, very closed off, you know. And I'm like, what's going on? And his wife is like, she's trying to tell me, like, well, this is going on, this is going on. You can tell she's kind of beat down a little bit. And I said, you know what I think? I said, I think we need to get you in a room with a group of men who can help put you back together. And he says, here's the thing. I'm an alpha. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm an alpha. And I don't know if you know this or not, but alphas don't get along with other alphas. I'm like, okay, so kind of a lone wolf. I said, you know, it's interesting. I said, I grew up in Kansas. And my dad raised wolves when I was a kid. Don't know why, but he raised wolves. And one of the things I learned about wolves is there's only two reasons that a wolf does not run in a pack. It's because it's either sick, and so it goes off to die alone, so that it doesn't get anybody else sick. Or it's deviant. It's killed a pup. It's tried to mate with the alpha's mate. It's tried to mate with other. It doesn't follow the pack rules. And so then it gets ran out of the pack. Which are you? And he says, I mean, I'm just like, just stuttering stuff, you know? And part of the deal is that masculinity inside the church looks like family. It looks like family. So here's the plot twist. What builds a masculine culture in a church? Women. Women build the masculine culture in the church. Here's why. They're going to be the one who comes to church first. And so when they come and you're a preacher and what you preach is men are good. Men are good. They can be great. They can be wonderful. Your husband at home who you think is a lump, he can be great. But God needs to wreck him a little bit and he'll be great. And so what they do is women do this because you've probably heard your wife say this. I was thinking about this, Matt, but I was like, what would Matt do? You're like, what would Matt do? You know, I was going to do this, but I was thinking like, well, what would Joel say in this situation? So what women do is they just filter the sermons that they hear through their own mind and through their husband's mind before the husband ever hears about it. And then when they go home, all of a sudden they're excited. I think you're going to like this guy. I wish you would come to church. I think you'd really like, you know what he was talking about today? He was talking about, and it's genuine, it's authentic. And so the Holy Spirit gets to contend with that dude at the house. And so I think to answer your question, stylistically, I think stopping a sermon partway through and saying men have a higher responsibility inside the body of Christ than women do. And are we fulfilling that? You know, you take the 1 Peter passage where it says, husbands, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with gentleness, or whatever it says, as the weaker vessel, as co-heirs with Christ, so that your prayers are not hindered. Like that stipulation is not put on women at any point. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think stylistically being able to stop a sermon and say, men, I'm talking specifically to the men.
Mm-hmm.
This is the important part of what's going on inside of our lives. This is our responsibility. This is where we handle this. We step up. We have these conversations. Don't leave the birds and the bees to be a conversation that your wife has. Don't leave, just the finances to be only on her. Don't do that. You know what I mean? By calling men to something different. What happens is the women who come by themselves, they go home and they're like, oh my gosh. Like, I think my husband would really like this guy. I think he would like this guy. And that's different than, I really wish you would have heard the message today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of
kind
of a rant, but that's great. You asked that question. That's something I've been sitting and doing a lot of typing on here in the last couple of weeks.
Love it. Jared Ellis writing a book.
Jared Ellis, tell us about your book.
Jared Ellis
On
is
David.
writing a book. Hey, let's back up. I want to answer the other question that you asked.
Yeah.
What was it?
The question, what have you learned about podcasting?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Don't say no for other people.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't
Okay.
do it. I mean, like Rob Bell's answer. I said, Rob Bell, hey, why did you decide to do this? I mean, Rob Bell's got plenty of other things going on. He didn't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this was his phrase. You demonstrated something like you demonstrated a real passion for the art and the creativity of preaching. And that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I said, yeah, let's do it. It's like, okay, cool. Like same with Stephen Mansfield. I thought, man, I wonder if I could get Mansfield on here. I mean, his assistant immediately said, oh, Stephen would love to do it. Would Thursday work? Like, sorry.
Hey, that leads me to another question, but you keep answering this. Do you have more?
So no, I would say on that part, like ask. The other thing I would say, not just guests, but also sponsors. Like go after him. Like go right after him. I mean, if you want to sponsor, go right after him. I mean, I went to El Guapo's Cigar and Pipe Lounge.
No, I was just going to ask you about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there and I told the guy, Alex, I said, hey, I want to put you on as a sponsor on the podcast. I said, could we do something here? He's like, yeah. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want you to supply me with some cigars and I want to promote what you have going on. Cause I go places and I get to talk to people and they like cigars. And so being able to take a box, take a 5-pack and send it to, a guy I want to be on the podcast and he gets it. It's like, oh, this guy's serious. Like he sent me good cigars from a place, that pushes the podcast. And so it's not a financial deal, but it's a bartering thing. And so then what he said in return was, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you let everybody know? I'll give, I can't remember what he said, 10%, 15%, 50%, whatever it is, off of anything but alcohol. If they come in and they say, I heard the ad on the Homilist podcast, like, bang up deal. So it's a great connection, which ends up being a great connection for other people. For me, when I get cigars and I send them to whoever I want to send them to, you know? So
I feel like that's our next step, man. We don't have any sponsors.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, I think until so I agree with what you're saying. Have you ever read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss?
Yeah.
So I mean, he talks about that, and he'll even challenge you. He's like, hey, go into Starbucks and just ask, hey, what do I have to do to get this coffee for free?
Yeah.
And they might go, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But they might say, I can give you 10% off. I can give you 25% off. Or they might just say, hey, on the house today. And any way that goes, you can't lose. Because even if they say, I can't do that, you were going to buy the coffee anyway. So you're not out.
Right.
If they give you a little discount, you win. But the thing with us that I think, I agree with what you're saying 100%. And I love that attitude and that mentality. We're going to implement that for sure. But I think you got to have a little bit of a base to build up. I hesitate to go to anybody and be like, hey, we got a podcast. We'd love for you to be a sponsor. And they're like, oh yeah. What's your downloads? Like how many people you got listen to this? And you go, well, we've got 2 episodes, three episodes.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, come back when you've got some staying power. So I think now we're getting closer to that.
What I say is on the other side. Why don't you leverage the fact that this is going to be a big thing and it's not? It's called vaporware. Why don't you sell vaporware? Like a lot of guys sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not selling software. You haven't even created it yet. You're selling vaporware, you know? And so like for you guys, I think the leverage, I think the cheater bar, you know, the leverage when it comes to it is, hey, we've got a personality driven podcast and this is going to be big. And we would love for you to be on the front side of this so that when it does go to that place, you're on the front side. That's what we want to do for you. Because
yeah.
You know?
See, so I still think we're selling vaporware at 600 downloads.
What?
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. But I think now I can say, we can say a few things. Hey, we got 10 episodes out. Like we're not just trying this thing out. That was something Dane said the other night. He's like, you know what I like the most is the fact that you guys said you were going to do it. And now you're doing it. He's like, I've got tons of friends that have said, oh, I'm going to do a podcast. And then they do like 1 episode. They don't do anymore. Yeah. And so I think now that you've got a little bit, I agree with you though. 100%.
Yeah. I just think that's such a big deal just because like,
he just called you out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. That's not,
he just called you out.
I loved it. No, it's deserved.
We don't have enough downloads. We don't have enough.
No, but that's because you're a facts guy. Like you're a facts guy. Like your scores.
You know what? Jared just encouraged me. I don't know. You're unfamiliar with that term. That was encouragement.
Hey, you know what? Maybe if you spend a lot of less time with your heifer out in the field, you'd have some time. You'd have some time
my
to
heifer in the field.
You get some sponsors around here.
Well, see here, Joel. Here's what I would do if I were you guys. This is the very first thing that I would do. I would go to every bakery. I would go to every bakery around us, and I would go in and I would say, "Hey, listen, we got a podcast called Bake the Cake." And here's our idea behind it. Because here's the deal. You can leverage this thing on a PC side that's going to make you guys freaking a gold mine. You know what I mean?
That's really good.
I mean, because you walk in and you say, hey, here's the deal. Do you know about the whole thing that happened with the Bake the Cake people? Hey, immediately, most of the people probably in your area.
They all know. They have to know, right? Because it happened local to Colorado. I mean, it was in Colorado.
Last year,
Yeah. And so what did they do? What did the Supreme Court do?
They said, the baker
they ruled
has the
in favor
choice.
of the baker.
Yeah, the baker has the choice.
Okay. And so how many bakers you think agree with that idea?
In Boulder County, Colorado, 0.
Dude, that's who we need to find.
Yeah.
And so, hey, so when you go to that, now listen, here's the deal. A personality-driven podcast where you get to talk about this kind of stuff. And then in an area as big as you guys is, to where you're able to then say, you want to know what we did to Dutch Brothers? You want to know what we did to here's what we did to Dutch Brothers in a weekend. Like we did this. Now you're leveraging a little bit of church stuff into your podcast, but it's the same idea. I mean, it's still legit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 100. Yeah. That I like all of this.
Yeah. And so you go to them and you say, hey, here's the deal. We got this podcast, and get yourself a nice little business card, put it up. We got a podcast and we would love to advertise on there, and let's give it a month for free. And let's see what happens. Let's see who wants to use you.
Take the challenge, dude. See how much you can push their way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and if it works,
That
they
would be
go,
cool.
That would be fun.
you know,
Now
then they say,
we,
yeah.
Yeah, and then say, hey, they'll give you a 10% discount if you mention that you heard this on Baked Cake, and then
There you go. Hey, and then give him a month. Give him 2 months. Say, hey, 2 months. We're just going to push this, and let's see if your numbers don't go up.
Great
Hey, if your
idea.
numbers go up,
That's
That's
fantastic.
hey,
good
then
idea.
then I'm going
Holy
to come back. Then I'm going to come back.
Are you taking notes?
I'm yeah.
Yeah, that's
I've
what I
got
would do.
8 Out Ward.
Hey,
I've got
hey.
Audible.
yeah.
I've got
Man, forget
Take a
Audible.
Chance.
Hey, listen, let me ask you a question about, because this surprised me a little bit, dude. Listen, because with your sponsors, because I'm also a follower on Instagram. And you gave some props to your sponsors last week because you hit the 10,000 downloads, right? Which again, congratulations. I know that's a lot of work.
Thanks, buddy.
I didn't know about the cigar deal.
Yeah.
And that kind of threw me for a spin a little bit.
Why? Are you a Christian?
I am, but I just thought that was interesting because I know I'm, and there's a question in here going, how do you balance a little bit of, I mean, listen, personality wise, you're one of the funnest personalities I've ever been around.
Well, thanks, buddy.
And you don't necessarily fit the mold of a
agreeing with you, sir.
pastor in Kansas, right?
Okay.
And so then you have this podcast, and I don't know anything about Ozark Christian College except for the fact we got a couple guys on staff around here.
A couple?
And then all of a sudden there's this cigar thing, right? You just talked about one of your sponsors is a cigar place. So I'm just like curious, is there ever tension in that? In your mind, you just go, oh no, it's fine. It's no big deal. I do this podcast and I'm interviewing preachers, and one of our, you just told a story at the beginning of the podcast about, a preacher who wasn't going to do a wedding because, they had alcohol at the wedding. So I'm just,
Now, and to go on that, have you had anyone that's been a guest on your podcast reject the gift?
No, but to be fair, there hasn't been. That's one of those things that as the conversation comes up and I find that out about a person.
Oh,
right?
got you. So you're targeting that.
Yeah, then it's different.
Okay. But yeah, then to Matt's question, it's a fair question. Although I think it goes back to,
like, Ozark doesn't have a problem with that.
Well,
why would they have a problem with that?
I don't.
Yeah.
The sponsorship of the it threw me off a little bit. Like, whoa.
Yeah, but I think here's the problem. I think if you dig a couple layers deeper, I think here's the problem. I think in your mind, I think in Matt Cody's mind, there's a stereotype that you've kind of pinned on
There's a negative connotation.
Yeah, that you've kind of pinned on a certain group of people that, and I think maybe the punchline of it would be there's a lot of people out there who aren't that different from you. Who aren't that different from you.
Get out of my ear right now. Get out of my ear.
I'm just thinking. Hold on. I think you're unique, just like everyone else.
Get out of my ear.
I'm not gonna look over at you again for a while. Man.
Have you had any critics
of that?
Of just anything?
Yeah.
Any people?
Yeah, I had one. Yeah, I've had one. I had one just the other day, and it's been the only criticism that I've got, and it was a weird one. It was a real weird one. It was this. It was a long message from a guy I don't know who said, I was talking to a friend of yours who you used to know a long time ago, and I was like, okay, and he said, I was telling him about the podcast, and you had mentioned something about the music that you like, and it being rap or Snoop or Dre or somebody, and he said, the Jared I remember from way back only listened to Christian music, or we all got together and we burned all our albums one time, or it was something like that. And I'm not sure from what group of people, if this was like the youth group when I was a kid, because we did that. I remember burning. Do you remember that? Do you guys have that? Where you burn CDs?
I got that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you burn CDs or you burn tapes.
So baby girl, put it on me. Yeah. Where would I be without you?
The baby girl.
That was on point, man. All right.
Yeah, I burned that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to burn it.
Yeah,
burn it in your mind. Burn it in your mind.
I burned it.
Yeah. So and so this guy messaged me and said, and maybe it was when I was a youth minister. He was very vague, and so I don't know if it was. And I don't even remember doing that as a youth minister. I remember doing it in youth group. Burning albums or something, and the guy's like, yeah, I thought Jared didn't listen to that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just so then his question was, are you doing okay?
Oh, love
Ooh,
it.
that's a
I
good
love
one.
it.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
so
Are
much
you?
is-
Yeah, are you doing okay? And so it was,
Hey,
and then he said,
I want that guy on our podcast.
yeah,
Hey, reach out to him and go, hey, you should listen to.
yeah, yeah. And so he said, and so he told me his whole, I mean, it was like a long message, told me his whole story. And I mean, a story full of pain and I mean, all kinds of stuff. I said, man, it sounds like you've really overcome a lot of stuff. I wish I had better details of some of that stuff. I mean, I don't remember that, but yeah, I'm doing okay, but I do appreciate your prayers. I mean, if you're praying for me, like I'm not like, that's good. Keep it up. Like I appreciate that a bunch. And that's awesome. And it was, you know, I'm guessing that was 30 years ago, you know?
Yeah, I think there's something to it. Doesn't surprise me you don't get a ton. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to. I mean, the listeners got to click play. You know what I'm saying? So if
Yeah,
you
you
don't
can-
like it, don't
yeah,
listen to it.
Yeah, you can push stop. Have you guys caught some shade?
Mm,
Just from our moms.
just from my mom's.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they
No,
met-
we really haven't caught any shade.
I
It's been pretty docile so far.
I think I've caught some not critics of how would you say? I've caught some people like trying to downplay it. I've had some people like that, like try to muscle up against it a little bit.
like it's nothing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Or
Like they
because
call it your little podcast. They
yes,
say, like,
exactly. Like I wouldn't like if I'm chatting about it or whatever. They're kind of
Yeah,
you know
I know
trying
what
to
you're talking about.
push
Yeah,
it down a little bit.
for sure.
And like I've caught some of that, but
I
mean nobody's reached
I don't
out
even
and-
count that as criticism. That's jealousy.
yeah.
I mean, it's a ballsy move. It's a ballsy move to start a podcast. I mean, it really is a ballsy move.
Fun,
I mean,
dude.
it is fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think it took that much courage. To be honest, I mean,
you don't think so? Yeah, I remember
No,
the
I
first
guess-
episode we did. I was nervous.
were you really?
Yes,
I was.
nervous.
The only thing I was nervous was if we were going to have enough banter to talk for as
I
long as we were
was
wanting to talk.
nervous.
I was not that
Ugh.
that nervous about it. Once we got going, it was good.
Yeah, yeah, and
was good.
your podcast experience really tipped me over. It really did.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's just try it out and see what's going on. But
You never did answer who is so JP Dennels, you're bringing him on. But who is somebody you're waiting on? 'Cause I'm
Well-
going to go beat down the door.
Yeah, here's the thing, and this is kind of strange. I'm in a place now, and I'm so glad it's the end of the year, because coming up on the new year, like I've got to freshen up on guys that I got to listen to enough stuff to where I find guys that I'm like, I want to talk to that
Yep.
guy. Because here's the thing, there's been two voices that I wanted to hear when I started this
Got 'em
podcast,
both.
and I got them both.
Yeah.
And getting them was like, and here's how weird this is, and I mean this, Joel. Like, this is how weird this is. I remember listening to Will Willimon cassettes, like cassette tapes, and listening to his preaching. And then later on, as I got older, I thought, man, it would be so awesome to be able to sit and talk with Will Willimon. And here's my reason why. And this is probably pure ego and probably bad. But here's my thought process. I think I could make Will Willimon laugh. And I think I could blow him away with a couple. I think I've got a couple of stories that if I told him, I could get that Winnie the Pooh raspy laugh out of him. And that's really what I want to do. Like, I really want him to just get to that place. And so I had this story that I wanted to tell him. And so I told him this story. So once he got on the podcast, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's like freaking Barney Fife. Like, I'm want to pull the trigger on this story so fast, and I can't. Like, I'm like, you got to have the conversation. And so I wait until the very end of the conversation, and I'm freaking just chomping at the bit wanting to tell him the story, because I can't wait for his reaction, because I'm sure, and I've been thinking about it for freaking 10 years, 15 years. I bet you I can tell Will Willimon the story, and he's going to be like, Jared, that is a great story. I'm going to work that up in the Southern accent. That's going to be a great one. And I just knew, like, this is going to be perfect. And so when he came on and I got to tell him that story, it was like, man, like, that's like, I just sat there like, you just told Will Willimon that story you've been holding on to for 15 freaking years. Like, you, like, with only one audience, there's only one person I wanted to hear this story. If I could only tell the story once, I wanted to tell it to Will Willimon. And so I got to, and that was just freaking awesome. The other one was Rob Bell. And for the same reason, I had things that I wanted to tell Rob Bell that, man, if I get a chance to tell Rob Bell this, he is going to lose it. I want to tell him a sermon title, and I want to tell him a couple of stories, and I bet I can get him in stitches. And that conversation was great. And being able to do that was awesome. So for me, where I'm at, like, I looked at my wife after the Rob Bell episode. I went home and she's like, so? And I'm like, we can shut the podcast down. Like, we can be done now. Like that, like everything that I wanted to get out of this, like I've already got. Like this is absolutely perfect. And so now it's a thing to where, okay, now I've got to freshen up on some people who.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You let us know.
Yeah, I will.
Well, here's the thing, dude. We're fans, man. I don't know if you know this, but we highlight your podcast every episode.
Oh, I see your message one time. Did you remember the yo, get my name out of your mouth?
yeah. We mentioned every episode.
Every single episode.
It's hard not to. You just seem to come up in conversation.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That's so funny.
My dad actually here recently said, yeah, I've watched a couple of those Homilist episodes.
Yeah, he has.
The
That's
Homilist
funny.
podcast. I said, they're good, aren't they? He said, yeah, I like Jared.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Well, they're okay. I mean, here's the deal with the podcast for me, that just like with you, when you're like, I don't feel like we have enough of a listener base. I mean, everybody has that inside part that's just way too critical, you know, to where you're like, who wants to hear this? You know, who wants to hear this thing? But here's the deal, like, surrounding yourself with some people who just look at you and go, dude, what you're doing is big. And so, like, there's two big names. So my brother-in-law, JB Brown, who put the website. Yeah, you know JB.
Just follow us on Instagram.
Hey,
JB
98.
Yeah.
By the
And
way.
then Sergio Rizzo. And so, see, the podcast was monetized before there was ever an episode out. Ozark, he was working at Ozark at the time, and he went to Ozark and he's like, hey, there's a podcast coming out, and this is going to be excellent. It's called The Homilist. It's on preaching. It's from a guy who graduated from Ozark, and this is going to be big. And I would love for us to get on board with this.
Yeah, we were watching the Broncos get decimated by the Chiefs yesterday in the snow in KC. I know that you care a lot about that game, so
Yeah,
thought I'd bring it up.
yeah. I wish I knew more. It's like, you know, all my buddies just make fun of me all the time. Like, like you don't care about no teams. You don't care about none of that. So, what's bad is that I played college football and I still don't care. You know, like it's not even a thing.
I'm sorry. You played college football and you don't care at all.
Don't put them in a box. You can
Nope.
try. Can't do it.
All right. I'm learning all kinds of things about
Yeah.
Jared Ellis.
Well, hey, Joel, here's what I was going to
Yep.
say earlier. I think Matt was talking. What I was going to say earlier was.
I'm about to start saying some of my phrases to both of y'all. And I haven't said them on this podcast yet, but I'm getting real close.
Oh,
No, I want to give people, listen, I one of my big deals from day one being in ministry, I think one of the draws to ministry for me was this idea that you can be a pastor, but you can also be real. And I want to be real.
yeah.
But I think we all have levels of, you know, of who we are in our, you know, in our role, whatever we do for a profession. And then who, like, I guess you're kind of peeling back, letting people see a little bit more and more. Right. I think this podcast, I peel it back a little bit, but I've not peeled it back.
No, you have not peeled it back
to the core.
No.
And I don't know.
I don't know that there's anything wrong with
I
that,
don't know
though.
if I've come to a
don't say that
conclusion.
negatively.
Yeah.
I think that,
I think that's good. I think that's wise. I think that's wise what you're saying, Joel. Especially with some people who, you know, if you uncork it, is it just uncorked? If you let the dragon out, is the dragon just out?
there's no going back.
Okay, see, then that's the deal. Like, that's the deal. Like, then, I mean, I live in some grays, you know, but I think a guy like Matt Cote, if he lets the dragon out, maybe the dragon's out, you know?
It's a fairly large dragon,
Yeah.
and I don't know that it has a cage.
Yeah. See, we just got to keep that back there.
Yeah.
We got to keep, and so I admire that. I like, that's one of my favorite things to hear. One of my favorite things to hear is when Jesus is wrecking somebody on some personal issue, you know what I mean? Like and to somebody else, it's minimal. Like when I hear Joel talk about it, Joel's like, just bake the freaking cake. Like, what's the problem? Like, what's the problem with cigars? What's the problem? Like this, like that freedom right there is really, really cool. The fact that you exist in that. And here's the other thing I was going to say earlier, and then this will lead to my question. Joel, you are a fresh voice on you guys' podcast. I mean, fresh voice. And I don't mean like fresh, like ghetto slang. I mean, like fresh, like
Ghetto superstar, that is what you are.
what
Coming from above, reaching for the stars.
Oh man.
Go away with me.
wow,
More.
look at it.
To another
All right.
place.
And we will not on each other. Yeah.
Now, hey, keep going, because this guy, he needs to hear some of this. Go.
He's got mad harmonies. Oh,
No. He's
you would keep singing? Keep
I'll tell you
singing?
what he says off stage.
Oh my
How he
goodness.
poo-poos all over himself.
All
Okay.
right.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I think Enneagram 8s do a really good job of attaching themselves to things that they can never be. This is why Enneagram 8s are so excellent with little babies, like little children. You know what I mean? Like with little ones, because there's something hidden inside of little ones that when they look at them, it's like they're
I
innocent.
can never tell if he's attacking me or complimenting me.
No,
I don't think
no.
it's a compliment.
No,
I was
it's
gonna say
compliment.
you are
I
really
don't
good
ever
with
know
little
what's
kids.
going on, dude.
Like they connect because there's that thing inside of them, like that little, like the child part of 8s. Like it's so far back there. Like they know they can never retrieve it. And so when they get around something that's little and innocent and something that they see is, it's just pretty and pure and fresh. And I think that's part of the thing that brings what brings you guys this podcast, really to life, is that you've got a guy over on this side who's brazen, and everybody knows it. Even if he keeps the dragon locked away, he's brazen, and it's in his eyes, and he's freaking ready to just freaking pounce all the time. But what he's done and where he's shown his depth is by attaching himself to somebody like you, who has who has an innocence to him and a realness to the inside of like, I'm not great, and everything in him wants to yell, well, I am great,
Hey, come on, is that not true? But it's good.
I just love it. I think it's so good.
I will say thank you. First of all, thank you. But that's true. I do think that's one reason you and I get along really well. There's a balance there. And
I feel like I've been
that-
trying. That's what I've been trying to say. What he just said.
Yeah, that's something you bring to this. Did you bring to Bake the Cake? That's so good.
I appreciate that.
It's just.
He's got a voice.
Yeah,
It's
really.
fun.
It's a real innocence that you bring to something that, and when you put those two things together, listen, they clash like nobody's business, but together, man, it's like when somebody says, like, how do you make something if it's too sweet? You could put in sugar. Well, it's not sweet enough. Well, you know what you add to it? You add a little dash of salt. That's what you do. Add a little dash of salt to it, and that will balance it out. Listen, that's something you need to know if you're going to be baking the cake podcasting. All right. You understand me?
That's
Put
true.
a little salt.
Hey, pro tip, baking.
Yeah.
Little salt.
Little salt. You got to add a little salt because that's going to balance it.
appreciate that, Jared.
And
That's-
you really
I'm
do.
Sugar. And you're.
Oh yeah. You're the sugar. That's
Yeah.
sure. You big sugar. We're
you're
gonna.
the salt, bud.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You're big sugar. You're big sugar. for
You're
sure.
big sugar, little salt.
No, I say you've struggled with that a little bit. I mean, you make jokes.
Yeah, I don't know that it truly bothers me. I just think it's funny.
He feels
it's
like
humorous. Hey,
he.
nobody has a clue who I am.
No, that's not true.
It's fine.
This guy
Like,
knows who you are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's fine in the sense like perfect story is somebody was talking to my wife and I was standing literally just a couple feet away and they were talking and she like, hey, I've been really enjoying the podcast and your husband, he's so great. And she's like him right here, like,
Mhm.
and they go, that's Joel. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm.
I'm not offended by it. I just think it's funny because it's Matt Cody,
Yep. No.
Joel Dill.
No.
See, that's
You're
funny.
the salt.
That's funny. Well,
Big sugar, dash salt.
big sugar. Yeah, big sugar. Big sugar. I mean, you go baking cakes, baby.
That's what I'm gonna start calling this guy.
You're gonna need some sugar.
Yeah.
Big sugar.
Hey, big sugar, dash of salt.
You know
Big
where they
sugar.
don't put sugar in cakes? Kenya. No sugar in the cakes.
Why is that?
I have no idea why.
Can you even
They don't-
call it a cake if
They
it
don't
doesn't have
like
sugar
sugar.
in
No,
it?
they don't like sugar.
I'm confused.
Hey,
It's-
let me dive into that a little bit, Matt. Is that part of the attachment to you to Kenya? And now listen, I'm kind of bouncing off the metaphor here. I'm using it as a trampoline, but is this part of the connection to you with Kenya? Is that innocence that you see that's there, like that little innocence, like there's nothing else can be, nothing here is threatening, and this is a safe place. And so what you do is you fly to one of the most dangerous places in the world, and there you get with the children, and all of a sudden you look around and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is pure, like this is what heaven will be like right here. Is that a part of it for you?
I don't know. This feels like therapy right now.
I'm just curious. I'm not trying to fix nothing.
I had a similar thought. So it's funny that Jared went on it, but I had a similar thought. I was going to bring it up to you offline. That's kind of funny.
I have not really thought about what it is beyond just some of the, what is the draw beyond just some of the, big things that I could say that would make sense. There is something there, man. When I'm there, I do feel like, yeah, this is
closer to it.
Yeah. This is where I'm supposed to be. I mean, I've said several times I wouldn't have any problem moving to Kenya. So.
Yeah. And see, I admire that. And because here's the deal, like you have to be that guy. Like you have to be that brazen guy. Like you have to be that guy. Like that's your role. That's who God made you to be. And that's freaking awesome. The beauty and the depth that you've created in you is that you've attached yourself to somebody like him. Like that's real. Like that shows, and you go to places like Kenya. And so you know how to go and get in touch with that thing. And to you, there's something in there that like it's magnetic to you. Like you find some purity in it. I mean, just from my assessment, my buddy Dickie says the same thing. He says the same thing about me. He says, you're one of the ones who've kept me in the faith this long. This dude's 60 years old. He said, but you've been one who's led me and kept me in the faith. He said, just because you really are good to the core, you really are just good to the core. That's what he says,
I'll say this, and I'm not exaggerating, but you two guys here, I think there is something, I would say about both you. You're some of the most legit guys I know.
Appreciate that, Matt.
Yeah,
and those are the kind of people I want to spend time with.
Yeah.
So
what's it? I know this is a big question to ask a guy like you, ask you to dive into emotions on stuff. But what about guys like us? Like, what's that do for you? Have you thought through that enough to be able to put words to it?
Oof.
What does it do for me?
Yeah. What's it do for you? What's it remind you of? What's it create in you? What's it?
I think it brings about a level of stability and in a sense of I think I'm always on the prowl for or maybe I lean towards everybody is fake. Everybody's fake. Everybody's fake.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good answer.
And when you find somebody who you go, oh, this guy might be real. This guy might be real. It kind of calms things down a little bit. Calms it down a little bit. Oh, okay, there is someone who's real. And yeah, and I can say this. I mean, I can count on one hand the amount of guys where I have maybe come to that conclusion that I go, this guy's real. Wow, this is good. And it may not necessarily even be because they've poured out their soul to me. It's just something in me that goes, this guy's legit.
Yeah.
And you can bring him in. You can bring him in.
So good.
Wow.
And the closer you let them in, they're not going to punch you.
Yeah.
They're actually going to be okay with whatever they find or whatever they hear or see. So
yeah, I appreciate you talking about that. I'm working on I don't know what it's going to be for, but it's something I'm writing, and I'm creating this metaphor, and it's all about the castle. And so here's what happens for me. Since I'm a 7 and I also score really high as a 2. Okay. So I'm 7 and a 2, those numbers tie for me, on the Enneagram. And so if you were to look at the church community as a castle, you know who you do not put on the wall as a watchman? The guy that's looking for the next good time, and the guy who wants to embrace everybody. You don't put that guy as a watchman on the wall.
Yeah.
You know who you put on the wall? Cote. Because Matt Cody's going, something's off with the flag. Something is off with the flag. That dude is riding that horse like he has never ridden a horse. Do not open the drawbridge. This dude he's not real. And I mean, always on the prowl with the skeptical eye, question. Like that's who you want in those places. Now, what if he lets somebody get the pass and he gives somebody like Joel Dill the pass? Joel Dill comes riding in. He's like, hey, this dude is good. He's good through and through, which you are, Joel. You're a great guy. And they open up the bridge and let him in. Do you know what you need right then? A 2. You need somebody like me to be like, freaking Joel Dill. What a great Joe. You're like a little dash of salt. You're like salt of the earth. Like you're the real deal. You know what I mean? Like you are making this, like you are what brings the sweetness to the world. And I know you just carry this freaking wagon full of burden on yourself, but what you bring to other people is so, so good. You know, you need a 2 on the inside to hug that guy, but you don't take a guy like me and put me on the watchman wall. They'll be like, hey,
You let everybody in.
his horse looks yellow from here. We should bring him in. This freaking guy, look at it. He was standing up. Hey, everyone, he's standing up. You know, you don't put me up there. That's ridiculous. You know, and so everybody's got to play their role. And so the guys at my church, one of the things that they do is they do this deal like this when somebody comes in, always on the prowl. Hey, and they come up to me. Hey, who's the guy who came in this and this and this? Like, oh, that's so and so and so and so. And so I tell them a story about him, and they're like, something shady about that dude.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, don't let that dude down there. Don't let him in the basement. That dude doesn't need to be in the basement. Don't let that dude down in children's church. That's not something we need. That's no good. You know, and they're good at that. Where I'm like, you want to serve? You should serve. It would be awesome.
I have said before, the thing that freaks me out the most, because I'll say, man, I can read people well. What freaks me out the most is when you can't get a read.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't get a read, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't happen often. But every once in a while, you'll walk away from someone and go, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, yay or nay. And it freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't happen often. I mean, most times I feel and go, nay.
Yeah.
Nay.
But you operate in the gut triad. I mean, similar to Joel, you operate in the gut triad.
Yep.
You know, you sense stuff. You know what I'm sensing? I got more freaking shades of blue than the paint kiosk at Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like I'm up and down all over the place. I ain't even got time to figure out what you got going on. Like I'm managing some stuff over here. Like we got some stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's
fantastic.
Yeah. Back to my question, Joel. What about Matt Cote? Like what's the story? Like what's the connection with Matt Cote? Like where did you stumble onto this guy?
We keep trying to we've tried to,
this is a great question. So
we don't see it the same, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Which is fine. That's a pretty good question. There's times, I'm not sure if this is going to answer or not, but this is where I'm going to go with it. There's times where you meet somebody and you just go, I just kind of want to, I'd like to get to know that guy a little bit more. And I think when I first met Matt, that was kind of my reaction. Was I went, there's something about him that is just different. I know, you know, our move into this area coincided with Matt and his family moving into this area. And so we both were kind of new at the same time. And I just remember, you know, listening to what he was saying from stage and just going, man, I'd went through a lot of things in church myself that had burned me. And then you come into this place and you're hearing Matt and, you know, when he says that he has a goal to be real, that is a true statement. And I can't tell you how many times I'd look at my wife and be like, he gets it. He gets it, you know? And so there was just this magnetism there. And so so we joke about it a little bit, but he had asked to do coffee and I get up early and go into work and I've got a 45-minute commute. And so it's not always simple and straightforward. And so I was like, sure, I can get coffee, but I got to do it at like 6, you know, so that I can be downtown. And
Good Lord.
And Matt did it. And I didn't realize at the time, I just, if he agreed to it, I thought, oh yeah, he's good with it then. Right. And so we sat down, had coffee and talked and, you know, it was fine. And about a month later, he texted me and he's like, hey, let's get coffee, man. That was good. And I'm like, cool, let's do 6:00. And he did it again. And about the third time is when his wife, actually, Vanessa, goes, yeah, he doesn't get up like that's shit. Like, you are the only person that he's getting up at 6 o'clock and going to get coffee with. So we started kind of adjusting that a little bit, but it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't know that there was just this trigger point where you just went, oh yeah, this is what it is, or this is what it's going to be. It was just, it's been over the course of 5 years.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of built into a relationship. It's kind of funny to go back and think about it, and you go, there's not really just a moment. So I don't know that I have a good answer, other than there was just something about it where I went,
somewhere along the way though, it did.
Yeah, it changed, and we became more friends than just talking about, church and
or pastor.
Yeah, pastor too.
Partner.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
Yeah. The other thing that's pretty interesting. Now, we've got a lot of Enneagram knowledge from you tonight, but one thing that I've noticed, my wife is an 8, and my 2 best friends outside of family. So Matt being one of them, and then another guy that we've talked about on our podcast before, Dave, they're both like strong 8s. So it's funny to me. So there is something in my makeup that is just attracted to an 8, and for whatever reason, and there could be something in there, so the one and the ideal and the pursuit of this ideal, there could be something in the 8, and just how, as you're saying, brazen, an 8 can be. Dave, he talks about being my truth friend. Like, he's not afraid to just tell me when I'm being an idiot. Yeah. And I don't have a lot of people that in my life that'll do that. And so I think there's like a mixture of things within that 8 personality. Yeah. That I just go, yeah, I need some of that in my life. So I think that's probably what drew me towards Matt, to be honest. Yeah.
I think that's something a little bit. I mean, you'll go on those kind of adventures and do those kind of things and go to Phoenix for the day, come back kind of vibe. I mean, there's something there that's,
well, go to a 7
that's where I go to a 7. That's exactly right. So I go to a 7.
Oh, you want to do a podcast? I'll do a podcast with you. I mean, just it's just that, like, hey, you'll come with me and do this. Yeah.
That's actually fun. Have you heard about our day trip to Phoenix?
No.
So can we dive into that real quick?
Absolutely.
This is funny. You'll appreciate this as a 7. So we have a harebrained idea in March to go to Phoenix for a day. So we're going to take like an early flight down, late flight back, right? We're like leaving at 6 a.m, flying out at 6 a.m. So we're at the airport like 4:30. And we get down there. We get over, we decided to rent a car because I'd looked, Ubers was going to be more expensive, and it was nice to have the freedom. So we get in, and we go to, was it Budget? We go into Budget to the desk. And we've got this lady who obviously loves her job, right? She just loves being the Budget desk lady.
No.
She couldn't.
She's been out there in the field with the heifer. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Is that how it goes? Is that how it goes? That's what she was doing. If you want to spend so much time with my heifer.
So she walks. So I walk up to the desk, and she goes, last name. So I give her my, and she's just goes to typing, man. She's just going to town. Wouldn't say anything else. Looks up finally after a couple minutes, and she goes, just the 2 of you? And I resisted making a joke. I just, because I could tell that it would not land with this lady. I just said, yes, ma'am. Goes back to typing. I mean, she doesn't say anything else to me. 5 minutes. She reaches down, grabs this packet, leans across the counter. She goes, you're going to like what I got for you.
You're going to like what I got for you. I said, she just gave us a Daewoo. That's what she gave us.
And so Matt goes,
North Korean Daewoo.
Yeah,
bro.
Matt, what did she just say? And so I told him, and she goes, Matt goes, this could go one of 2 ways right now. We could be in like a little V-dub, or we could be in like an SUV, right? This could go one of 2 ways. Right. And I had rented or reserved a compact. And so we drive down and we go to the space, or we walk down, and go to the space that the car was in. And there sits a Ford Mustang GT 2-door for the day.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, just come on, son. You want to talk about masculinity?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're racing that thing around Phoenix, which one of the things I love the most about Phoenix is that it's like 6-lane highways everywhere.
Yeah.
And they had the desert to build a city in. So space was not a concern.
Oh, yeah.
So there's roads everywhere. So we're weaving in and out, driving all around. We end the day at In-N-Out Burger. Because what good would a trip down there be?
Have you been to In-N-Out?
No.
Oh, my.
Brother. Okay. Well, we can fix that some other time.
Get out of Kansas every once in a while, bud. You got these things called airplanes. Okay?
Right.
You can get on one.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So we go to In-N-Out Burger, we eat and come out, and there's a truck that's backed in next to where we parked. So we're parked, point nosed in, and he's backed in. And as we're getting in, this GT, I don't know if you've ever opened the doors on a Mustang GT, but they're heavy. It's big doors, long doors. Matt opens this up, and he's paid special attention not to do anything, not to hit any of the car around him, the truck around him, and he's like, really gently nudging his way in. Like, it's painful to watch. I've already been in the car and buckled up. Gets in.
$160 here. Super tiny, this guy.
Yeah. $160 club.
$160.
Hashtag $160 club.
That was me in 7th grade. $160.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
been a while.
So we still trying to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
So we get in. He closes the door, and all of a sudden there's a rap on the window, and this dude in the truck next to us had gotten out and was dead set that Matt had doored his truck. And I mean, he had a lot of tattoos. Do you got tattoos, Jared?
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah,
I got a few.
He's got tattoos that you can see. He's got tattoos that you can see. They're up on his neck. I don't know. There might have been one on his face. It was all up and down. And he was about ready to rip Matt Cote out of the car because he adored. Matt's going, no, I mean, I don't think I'm sorry if I did. He's trying to, calm the situation. This dude is PO'd. And so after a few seconds, I'm like unbuckling, ready to get out of the car.
A little too late, Dill. A little too late.
Well, you didn't need rescuing, it turned out. But, we ended up getting followed by that guy for a little while in Phoenix. He got real close to the back end of my rented GT. I might have bumped us one time. I don't know. But, yeah, it was a scary night. We got back to the airport, flew home.
Now, let me tell you what I wanted to do.
Tell me.
Okay. Now, if this wasn't a nice rental car, because we had not moved, right? Neither car had moved. So I kept saying to the guy, first of all, I knew if I got out of the car, it was on. This guy really wanted to work me over.
Yeah.
So I just have one foot out of the car, and I kept saying to him, you can come and look where you think the dent would be, because all I have to do is open up the car door. You haven't moved. We haven't moved. This is it. This is all, come and see. And he's, I don't want, F you. I'm not going to come look. I said, well, you can just come look. Call the cops if you want. Tell them to come look. We have not moved. You can see. There's no mark on your truck. You want to know why? Because I didn't hit your truck. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What I really wanted to do was go something like this. Oh, there's no, what mark are you talking? Wham! That's what I wanted to do. And go, now you got a mark.
Now there's a mark.
Now you got one.
What are you going to do now?
Yeah. Okay? You over here bull crapping. Now you got a mark.
Run
now we got something to talk about.
You mean that mark?
Yeah.
That mark.
And then he would have took his gun out and started trying to shoot me probably. But yeah.
Murder in the parking lot.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to do with that guy.
What's the concealed carry stipulations out your way?
I
mean, you got to have a card. Yeah, you got to be permitted.
I don't know about in Arizona.
I don't either.
Gotcha.
But
yeah. Yep. So definitely like the adventure. That's true.
Never been to
1
In-N-Out.
to a 7 in health.
Yeah. No. Never
How about Wendy's? You ever been to Wendy's?
Wow.
Huh? I don't know what they got out there in Iola. You have a Wendy's in Iola?
No, we don't have Wendy's in Iola. We got one down the road. We got one over Fort Scott Way. We got them.
Half an hour away?
Yeah, it's 40 minutes.
40 minutes to get a burger.
We got a McDonald's. We got some little mom and pop stuff. It's cool.
Okay. Love Kansas.
Don't be banging on Iola, Kansas.
No,
man.
listen, I told these guys one time between now, we want to talk about adventure. One time between now, today, and next June, I'm driving out to Iola on a Sunday morning to hear this guy preach. And I'm not telling them what day I come. I'm just walking in. And I told them I was going to do that within a year.
It's true. You did say that.
I did say that.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, fella, you don't fella, you ain't. I'm just going to roll in on one Sunday.
I'm in.
You're in too?
Yeah, I
We're
do.
just going to walk in.
I think you're going to need somebody to help split that drive out because that's
Yeah.
no joke.
Yeah,
It's
it's
no
a
joke.
9-hour drive, 10-hour drive.
It's a no man's land.
But we're going to see the man.
What have you learned from your podcast? What's the thing that you've seen that you've like? What's the thing you picked up on?
Hey, so this has probably been the biggest thing that I've learned so far. Not a lot of runway here, right? But are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary V?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of his big things is stop talking about it, just do it. Right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
And so I think that what I've learned is he's dead right.
Yeah.
He's dead right. Hey, don't stop talking about it, just do it. You're not gonna. The first episode we had one voice in one ear, one voice in the other ear, and people were whining about it, but we did it.
Yeah.
Right. We learned.
Right.
Same thing with video. The first video we have, it looks like there's a halo light shining down on our guest. It's it's fine. It just wasn't that great.
I can't imagine.
But we did it.
I can't imagine that GoPro works at all.
It does. It actually works better than you would think. It's just the lighting in this office is 2 fluorescent lights. Yeah, I'm looking up 2 fluorescent lights. And so, but the point being is we did it. So you learn from it, you improve on it, and you continue to go. And so I think that there's a lot of power in that idea of stop talking about it, just do it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, it's a brave thing to venture out and into a deal like that, especially. I mean, if you're a perfectionist and you really want things scripted out well, you want things to go well, and you want things to, that kind of. I mean, you open yourself up. I mean, this is one of those. What's the phrase? Be brave enough to suck at something new.
Yeah.
That's
a great. That's a great phrase.
So
be
this
brave
is funny.
enough to suck at something new.
I did send Jared an email trying to say, hey, how do you want to what do you want to go over? Right. Yeah, that's the one. And he was like, yeah, cool. I'll get back to you. Right. And then even still, and then today, he's like, text us this. I'm like, I told my wife last night, I said, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, because I haven't heard anything from Jared. And so, hey guys, you guys want to do this? Jared's like, hey, I'm free tonight. Let's go. Oh, okay.
Got my Yankees hat on. I'm ready to go, baby.
I'm going out on the town.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so we're gonna do this. So
yeah, sorry.
That's funny.
The guy I work with, Luke, golly, has that same thing. So here's the way it works around here, and this is what he always says, buddy. Look, you're the face of the franchise. I just keep the lights on.
Yeah.
You're the face of the franchise. I just keep the lights on. And here's the truth. If he wasn't here, I wouldn't have any idea on what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. None at all. I wouldn't know how to pay the light bill. I would have no idea what to do with any of the stuff that he does whatsoever. When he leaves on a Sunday, things are, if we get it off the ground, that's a good Sunday. Like we knocked it out. But rarely do we get it off the ground when he's not around, because he's just so detail oriented, Yep. But then there's these other cool moments to where he comes in, he's like, hey, so what do you think about this? And I said, phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3? And he said, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is the way this is going to go. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Like, this is the way this, and I'm most excited about phase 3. He's like, phase 1 isn't even done. Like, we haven't even done phase 1. Yeah, but phase 3 is going to be a freaking blast. Cannot wait to get to it. And he's like, dude, your confidence is so good. It's so contagious. Like, yeah, but here's the problem with that. Most of the time I'm confident in all the wrong areas. Like that's the problem,
Well, and yeah, can't be bothered with the details. There's a lot of you in that. You're going to start using that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 thing. I can tell already.
Joel, I mean it when I say, man, people like you keep the world spinning. You keep the world spinning. And your voice, it may not in your own mind be a voice of power or dominance in any level. But listen, all of us know who's spinning the freaking plates. We all know who's spinning the plates. Somebody got to spin them. They're jackasses like us on the bottom, holding freaking sticks, freaking standing on bowling balls, yelling orders at other people. But there's somebody going around spinning plates. Look, if I don't stop spinning the plate for this idiot, he's going to drop them on. He's going to look like a moron. I'm going to keep spinning plates. So guys like you, man, they are few and far between. They're few and far between. So
that's too kind. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah. What else, Matt Cote? What else you learned from this podcast that you've been doing?
Yeah, I'd go with a little bit with what Joel would say, and I like what you said too. Brave, be brave enough to go suck at something new. There was something in this that was just for me, it was fun, right? But it the fear was right on par with the fun, and I haven't had that in a while. Yeah. It was right there. Like, oh, it's gonna be really
Wow.
fun, but whoa, there's a lot of stuff here.
That's
so cool.
that's crazy. But that
So it's right on par for me. But I I don't know. I think in the last 2.5 months, we're learning a lot about just the ins and outs of podcasting and mess around with YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And it's really fun. I think I was just thinking about this today. I was needing something, I think, another hobby, a side hustle, something to get after, to go grind it out a little bit. And what I have learned from me is that has now translated into other areas of my life that I feel like I know how to do these things, but to start dreaming about, well, what about this or what about that? Because this is new territory. So all things are possible. It could really suck. This next episode could really suck. This thing but there's just something refreshing in that. Oh, we did it. We did it. And I think there's even been times we'll do a podcast, we'll do an episode, and we're like, and then we go back and watch it, and I'm like,
that's better than I thought.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And I think there is something just do it. I mean, just do it and try it. And maybe it does suck, but you're still going to learn something within it. And it has dominated in a really healthy way a lot of conversations and different circles that I'm in over the last 2 months. And that's been really fun. I mean, there is something about being in the room, and we laugh together quite a bit, but also, when we've had Dane and Zach on, I mean, just laughing, dude. I mean, laughing hard.
Yeah.
And I go, man, this has been a good thing. This has been a good thing in my life. It's been a lot of fun. So, I think sometimes there's more in the reward than just, how many listens or how many, how many people download the episode. Sometimes the reward is, man, we made a memory in the room, and we're going to keep, that's a story in and of itself. We're going to talk about that for a long time. And I think those things are, just as fun as all the other new stuff that is going on. Yeah. And for me too, I mean, just hearing you talk about your ideas of, man, you guys should go to a bakery. You should go do all that. For me, I'm like, this new ground. That's new ground. We haven't taken that ground. I haven't even thought about that. And it's like, okay, there's always something here. There's always something to learn. Yeah. And for me, I love that. It's just messing around with YouTube last week and editing and watching, tutorials and all this, just new ground, just taking new ground and learning stuff. I enjoy it. So I have said it not as a deflect of like deflecting, is the podcast successful or not? And how do you measure and all that? I have said what I'm about to say to go, I have found it to be more like, man, I'm just looking forward to it for me. Mm-hmm. And if someone listening gets something out of it or makes somebody laugh or what, great. And that's awesome. Yeah. But I have found it to be a healthy, like, looking forward to it. Like, what day are we doing that? Wednesday night. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So, but on the practical side too, it's work. Yeah. There's work to it as well, which I appreciate now, especially the other podcasts that I've watched for a long time, and you see what they've got going on. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. That is work. Joke. Yeah, what they're doing is pretty hardcore. So,
well, I can tell you this. It's one of the best things that you have going for you is that you haven't put any intro music into your podcast. Like, and I know that sounds like a small thing.
Really?
Yes.
No. What did you just say? Say it again.
That you have not put any intro music. There's no introduction. Like, the podcast just starts. Yeah. Like that, like here's one of the coolest things about what you're doing is it fades in to a conversation. I get to overhear a conversation, it's different than a production. Yeah. And so that's the coolest part. Right. But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Is that it's this,
bliss, man.
like you're sitting there and you're listening, like I'm going to listen to this podcast, and then you hear voices, and you're like, what am I hearing? You're like this is what you want as a preacher, right? Like as a preacher, what you want is you want people to go. Like that you want people to lean. And so you doing that, accidental freaking genius, you know? I mean, that is so good, because what it becomes other than that is it becomes something it's a structure. So like that's the thing that the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so much easier to do. That is so much better. And it's personality driven. So it works.
And that's funny that you say it's so easy to do, because that's the only reason that I do that. Like when we're cutting that in, it's just, it's so low budget, and we so don't know what we're doing that it's like, well, I know what fade in means. So let's just fade this in. Sounds good.
Yeah. But it's perfect though, because it's stories, it's back and forth, it's banner, you know, it's camaraderie. And people want that. They want to listen in. And so when it starts with just a fade in, it's like, oh, it's already started. It's already started. You know, when you show up to the movie late, it's already started. It's like, shh. So you didn't even open your nachos. You didn't even open your nachos yet. Now you got to be that guy.
Wait, you get nachos?
Freaking rattling nachos.
Yeah. And I think what we do well is, it's funny because I think when you have this, like, hey, we're going to start. Yeah. It almost like sucks the wind out a little bit.
It does.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
Just talk, and then you'll get there.
Yeah.
And then
we've had much more success when we like just kind of work into,
like, some of the best clips we have are in that like we haven't started, but we're just kind of, and what's happened is like, well, we'll turn everything on, and then you're checking mics, and then we're just kind of talking, and and then all of a sudden you've been doing it for 20 minutes, and it's something like, oh,
that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. We don't even know why we're talking about that, but and we had some things that we want to talk about, but it just kind of naturally happens like that. But
Luke and I started a podcast called Iron Sharpens Iron. He and I started it.
Now, you told me about this.
And so we our conversations together are hilarious. Like, he's a funny guy.
Yes.
And what's funny about Luke is he's a freaking lyrical assassin, and he's so good with the English language, and he's an English lit guy. So he was an English lit major, and then went into ministry, like went to ministry school. So he's super sharp with words, which that's something he and I have in common. Like, I love words. He loves words. And so there's always a spin on a word. So a guy came in not long ago, and this is bad, but the guy's not a real bright guy. And he was talking about his glasses, and he said, I just got a new prescription. And, but he didn't say prescription. He said, I got a new inscription. I just got these glasses. I got a new inscription. And Luke could not leave it alone. And I'm like, don't. Like, don't. And then Luke says to him, he said, so how long ago did you get a new description? And the guy says, I got this description just on Tuesday because this and this and this. And so they went on to talk a little bit longer. And then Luke looks at him and he says, so when you got your new inscription, what happened with and the guy says, the old inscription had, and so Luke just keeps going. And I mean, every word you can think of that ends with scription. Like, Luke found a way to put that word in there. And by the time it was over, there were 6 or 7 words that Luke had substituted. And this guy used them all. And I mean, I'm in stitches. I'm over trying not to laugh in his face. But and so that's hilarious. But when we sit down to try to do the podcast, as soon as I hit record, and I'm not kidding you. I mean, it was like this. It was like, oh, I just flew in from Boston, and boy, are my arms tight. You're like, dude, what are you doing? And he's just like, I don't know. It's like, is this thing on? Is it? I mean, it's just like, dude, stop. Like, just freaking cheesed it up. Look, we couldn't do it. Like, we tried like 2 episodes, and it was like, buddy, I don't think we can do this. I don't think we can do this. Like, this is like, I need you to be you. And all of a sudden he shows up. He can't be he goes from 1 to 7. And now he's just all fun and flailing around. And now I'm on point. And so I go to 1. And so here we go. Just right
opposite.
Opposite.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. So
that was one of my first questions, because you two you guys are geniuses together in a conversation at the table. And I remember you talking about your podcast. I said, you guys do a podcast together? And you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No chance.
We tried, but no. And Luke's right there, and he goes, oh no, we can't. I can't do a podcast. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys are really well together.
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh so hard being around you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
he's a good
just
one.
it's just nonstop. It's just, one thing after another is so good.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, fellas, I know it's getting late where you are too, huh?
Well, not like it is out in Iola, but
Yeah, right here in real time.
are you a stay up late or get up early guy?
Oh no, son, I'm up early bird. The alarm
Really?
goes- oh yeah, alarm goes off at 4.
Oh no.
Hey, we're banging out some CrossFit. 5 o'clock.
Oh no.
Get it, son. Get
Oh
it.
man.
Hey, closing exercise rings. Hey, closing exercise rings. 5:30 in the morning.
Oh,
We'll bang this out.
wow.
Love it. Hey, my brain is on fire. 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. Brain is on fire. Ideas. Like I got most of the time when I'm warming up, I got a notepad. Maybe not most of the time, but a lot of times I got a sticky pad on the treadmill and I'm warming up and my freaking brain is just downloading. And I'm like this. Hey, the other day I'm in the gym.
It's true.
Freaking cranking it out. And all of a sudden the ideas start hitting me. My workout partner's not there yet. And I'm like, I can't be here. Like I got to get home. I got work too. I got stuff to type. My head is on fire. Like I got to go. Freaking snatched my stuff up, zipped out the door, sent a message. Yo, I'm not going to be in there today. Sorry. You got a freaking inspiration hit. Got to go home. Got stuff to write. I'm on fire today. So I got to go.
I'm the opposite, man. I like to stay up late.
Yeah, you're an 8. You like to sleep in.
But
huh?
do
I
you
don't
do
love
you
to sleep
does
in.
your mind go on fire at night? Is that when your ideas hit? Because I'm with Jared. That my ideas come in the morning.
I feel like I can pick and choose my spots.
Mm.
Yeah.
You
right
would
now,
say that.
Yeah, right now, I'm not bound to you guys' limitations.
Yeah.
Oh,
I pick and
love
choose.
it.
Hey, I pick and choose
Right
when
now-
my mind goes on fire.
Right now, when I'm thinking about stuff, it's a little bit what Jared's saying. But when I'm working out and I'm creating that just space to, if I just got some music on, I'm just thinking about stuff, dude, I can, yeah.
Yeah,
I
listen
can
to
start
Joel.
fire.
He's all like, inspiration gets off the treadmill and goes home and tells his mommy about me. That's the way this goes. Like,
Yeah. Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
I get this straight.
Uh-huh.
Inspiration telling stories about Matt Cote. That's what's going on
Yeah.
here.
That sounds about right.
Well,
That sounds about right.
Hey, dude,
What's up?
we love you. We really do, man. We've enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
hanging
Appreciate
out.
you doing this, man.
I want to bake the cake shirt, fellas.
Okay, we got to come.
Yeah,
in.
we can.
We got to
we can
come
do
in.
that for
What's
sure.
what size are you? How big
Yeah.
a boy are you?
I'm a large. I need a large.
Large, okay.
Just how big a
How
boy.
big
are
a
you?
boy are
How
you?
big a
We got a
boy.
large for you.
Hey, did you
Yeah.
see the family pic he put up this weekend?
Yeah, I did. I liked it.
Man, looking like OG.
Yeah.
Did you
Man.
feel that? Just like
Very professional.
Yeah. that's
Good
some-
looking family, dude.
Little-
hard.
Good
Hey,
looking.
that's some iPhone. That's some iPhone shoots right there.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, iPhone. iPhone and a big clamp on the tree in the front yard. Something to hold it there. Everybody get still. Don't move. So Matt
Thank-
Cote, love you to pieces, buddy. It's good.
Hey, love you, dude. Keep killing it out there, okay?
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right,
Later.
buddy.
See you.
Bye.